Hey guys, welcome to the Detour Live, and it's the Tour of Spain. It is back, and we've got 3 weeks of action. We're going to be live every night on the Detour at 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I'm your host, Dan Jones, joined as always by 4-time national road champion Johnny Trevorrow, and we mentioned it the other day, could have won plenty more, but he just didn't apply himself. And a guy who did apply himself, and at one stage was one of the world's best lead-out men, is of course Julian Dean, the Kiwi. And he's over there with Team BikeExchange, being the DS. The DS who won the Tour of Spain a couple of years ago with Yatesy. How are you travelling, Jules? You there, mate? Oh, no.
Yeah, pretty good, mate. Pretty good. I think I probably, a few instances in my own life, I could have applied myself a bit better. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. It's always the way. The internet works perfectly off air. As soon as we go live,
got me?
There's issues. We got you. Can you hear us, Jules? This is a great start to the Tour of Spain, Iffy.
You got me?
It's coming in and out.
I can hear you guys fine.
That's all right, mate. We'll just stick with it for now.
The move.
Well, yeah, I don't know what's happened here, mate. But you know what? Try the link again. That's always the best way. So if you try the link again, it might reset the connection. But the weather looks good. We'll try the link again with Jules. And yeah, we'll see how he goes. But anyway, if you must be excited for the next 3 weeks ahead.
I am. I do love the Vuelta, Tour of Spain, the Vuelta España. And it's always a great bike race. It just produces exciting stages. They spread, especially this year, they've spread the mountains over the whole 3 weeks. So, normally with the Tour de France, in the Giro, you get a cluster of mountains here and a cluster of mountains there. But this is like we've got day 3 is a GC day with plenty of climbing. And so, yeah, there it is there. And so, it's going to be it's going to be a great bike race. And even this 7K prologue that we've got this evening, it starts with a 2K climb and a real rapid descent. So I'm looking forward to that as well. Although it's on bloody late, I can tell you, for us, very late. I think it finished at about 4 o'clock in the morning or something.
I think we'll have to join the Lantern Rouge's coverage for the recap. I don't know if we're going to be able to pull that off over 3 weeks, Iffy, because you do get very irritable, particularly stage 14, 18, and that's when the gloves come off. People start commenting that, hey, boys, settle down, stop the fights. So
no, you get irritable, and I have to pull you into line, and people see that happening. That's what happens.
Now, one thing, just as a total side topic, I remember the start of the Tour of Spain. I think it was 2015, maybe, and one of the bikes was stolen from the team. The guys were, doing after the stage, cleaning all the bikes and stuff, and this guy literally just went up, grabbed the bike, jumped on, and rode off. And, a couple of the mechanics put on a chase, but they ended up getting the bike back. And there was this big presentation in Spain, in Madrid, with all the police. There was big news articles. They've got Oscar, the Swatty, up there for the presentation. It was bloody hilarious. I was going to ask Jules about those old days, particularly when the bike was nicked. He joins us again. Do we have you, Jules? Can you hear us? You're back.
Who is that masked man?
I can hear you guys all right. I'm back.
It's the connection's a bit sketchy, but just how are the boys? How's the troops? And what are your goals over the next 3 weeks, mate?
Boys are all good. There's a couple of things when you come to the Vuelta. Either you've had first part of the season and you're trying to make up for it, or you're actually really motivated and want to be here at this time of year. So all our guys are in good shape and good nick, and looking forward to having some stages with Michael Matthews and also Lucas Hamilton here, and the trusty Spaniard veteran And Mikel Neve is also on the cards to do something good here. He's looking really well.
Iffy?
Yeah, so we've got 10 Aussies riding in the Vuelta, and 5, half of them are in Team Bike Exchange, which is great to see. But you've got, so who have we got? We've got Lucas Hamilton, Damien Howson, Michael Matthews, Nick Schultz and Rob Stannard are the Aussies, mixed in with Luca Mezgets and Mikel Nieve. So it's pretty good. It's a team set really for stage opportunities by the look of it, more than GC, although I'm sure Lucas will do the best he can do.
Bit of a delay, but we'll be right.
Could be a short episode tonight.
Yeah, can you guys hear me all right?
Yep.
Yeah, mate.
Oh, mate. The technology.
You got me there, Jonesy?
We've got you, mate. Yeah, we got you, but there's about a 4-second
things
delay.
can only get better from here on in, anyway.
That's right. This is a detour record. We're normally 2 or 3 seconds delay, but this is 4 to 5. So what we'll do is we'll really space it out.
As you said, okay, space it out then. All are going well, and Schultz is looking good after a good win recently in the Tour Czech there.
Yeah, that was it. It was his first win for Bike Exchange, wasn't it? In Europe.
Yeah, mate. This delay's next level. We might have to. We'll get you back on when we've got the good Wi-Fi or the good area to connect with, because the delay's about 10 seconds. That's all good, mate.
See if we can get a better spot and rejoin us if you can.
Picnic.
Yeah. Mate, we'll have to get you back on when
I'll give it a
we've
go
got
later.
a better connection. Yeah, no worries, mate. Too easy. Julian Dean, sorry about that, guys. That's as we said, that's a record for the detour. Now, I hope you've done your notes, John, and you've got some fantastic insights, because this is a part of the show where we expected to speak to the guests for about 10, 15 minutes, and now we've got to fill it. So what we can do is go to a couple of the comments and keep those coming, because we're going to need some topics to talk about. The Wheel Wizard, he says, "Hi, guys. Can you possibly get Gary Clively to hear his version of the 77 Vuelta, the special Freddie Martin's edition Gary had 1 times?" What's that?
Yeah. Well, Gary, I think Gary finished, he finished top 10 in that, which was pretty amazing. And that's when Freddie won 13 stages. And
here's the full. He says Gary was 7th twice, 6th once, and 5th twice, and 3rd in stages, and 7th um
Yep, that's right. Yep. And Fred, we should definitely during this we'll get Gary Clively on. A sensational guy and one of our superstars. Just shone for a very short time. He was he stopped when he was like 22 or something. I mean, he was still just starting on his career really, and hung up the bike for more than 10 years. Made a comeback. He was working in Dave Sanders' shop, started going for a couple of rides here and there. Next thing, he was spotted up the Dandenongs, did a couple of club races, and that year he won the Australian Professional Road Championship in his comeback year. So, yeah, amazing story. So definitely worth having him on to have a chat in the Vuelta. Yeah.
Wendy Superfan says Luke Plapp came 8th in the prologue of the Tour of l'Avenir last night. That's a good result.
It's fantastic. He is a superstar. I had a great couple of texts back and forth with him just at the end of the Olympics, and he was very, devastated with what happened during the team pursuit, but happy with the medal, of course. But he's doing some Stagiaire races, racing virtually with the Australian team till the end of the season, and then on to Ineos, the big time next year.
Now, we were going to ask Julian Dean for obviously some insights on, how the guys are feeling and all the general stuff. But you'd have to think there is a lot of pressure on the team this year, given that, it has been pretty light on for results. I would have hoped to, probably do a lot better at the Tour de France. We're unable to win a stage. What's going to be a tick for the guys at the Tour of Spain this year, do you think?
Oh, they definitely want to win a stage. I think Michael Matthews... Look, he's been a bit unlucky. He's had actually good form this year, but he hasn't won a bike race. So he is desperate to get a stage victory. And he'll be, really in the mix for the points jersey. But there's some good sprinters here. I said, when I spoke the other day, I said, his main challenge would be Arnaud Demar. But Jasper Philipsen, he was 6 times on the podium in the Tour de France without winning a stage. Absolutely amazing. And Fabio Jacobsen is back and winning too. He's had a couple of wins in the Wallonie to Wallonie. So he's looking really good, which is wonderful to see after his absolutely tragic crash in the Trip Holland last year, where he nearly lost his life. So wonderful to see him back.
Do you think that I saw in an article on Cycling News, he mentioned being snubbed for the Olympics and, that would have been his first games. Do you think any of that will come into it?
Well, I had some wonderful quotes from him, which I wrote for my Geelong Addy story, a Sports Hound story, which was up today. And he said, even though he knew it was a course that wasn't suited for him, he felt he could have done a fairly good ride. But it's easy to say watching it on sitting back in the lounge room. But he had trouble even watching the Olympics. He was that disappointed. So, and he's really motivated for the Worlds in Belgium, in Flanders this year. He believes he can go well there. But he said he is not riding the Vuelta to prepare for the Worlds. That might happen, but he's riding the Vuelta to win a stage and go for the points jersey. So he's all in. And he says it's a really good team. Look, it is a good team. It's a team that's designed to go, here he's back.
Yeah, you're starting to waffle on, so I brought Jules back. Looks like your reception's better, mate.
Yeah, I think so. Moved away from the hotel, just following the boys out training, so we should be okay for a little bit. You guys want to...
Yeah.
Brilliant. We were just talking about Michael Matthews and how important this Tour of Spain is, given that if he said, he's been a bit unlucky, he's had good form, hasn't been able to win a stage of a race this year. How motivated is Bling coming into this Tour of Spain?
Yeah, he's really motivated, and it's good to see guys like him. The Tour of Spain comes, or the Vuelta comes at the end of the season. So, you've got to be motivated to come here. You've got to come here with a big ambition, and his ambition is to win stages here. And we're going to support him in that in any way we can.
Now, Jules, you are a masterstroke when it comes to the psychological side of cycling. Your ability to connect with the riders and get the best out of them is something, really to be admired. If people were able to see how you connect with the riders in the bus and things like that. I mean, what is the key for you with the team coming into this year to really keep them focused and try and eliminate a lot of pressure?
I think, the key always to leading anything, any organisation or any team is getting the people you're working with on side, and initially they might not, agree with everything that you say, but you just got to chip away bit by bit, earn people's trust and bring them on board bit by bit as you move collectively towards the main goal. And our goals are pretty straightforward here. We've got good athletes that are in good condition to support those goals, and I think everyone's really looking forward to trying to make something special happen here.
We
were just talking before about the Vuelta is doing it, especially this year. It does it a bit different to the other tours where they have their mountains in sort of clusters. But here they're spread out right from the get-go. From stage 3, the GC boys will be out, and they keep whacking them in. So there's no real respite for anyone. It's got to be on your game right from the beginning.
Yeah, that's definitely it is a little bit unusual in that regard. I mean, the great thing about the Vuelta is it's not a textbook Grand Tour. You don't, before the course, you're not expecting it to have certain elements. It's always a little bit random, but it always makes it really exciting. And as I was saying earlier, which I don't know if you guys caught, the one thing with the Vuelta is everyone comes here. Things haven't gone good at the start of the year, and you come here to make some redemption. Or you come here for some more motivation because you missed out on something at the start of the year or whatever. But everyone's here for a real reason. There's nothing to save yourself for the rest of the season, and it's all in. And for me, it's one of probably the most underrated of the Grand Tours. And if you're really a big fan of bike racing, especially this year, we're going to have some extraordinary racing to watch with some of those big hitters that are lining up here.
Is it been a bit of a relief that the 2021 season, apart from things like Paris-Roubaix, has been able to hold some sort of normality to what the riders and the staff are used to? Did that really unsettle a lot of people last year?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the end last year we were really grateful just to be able to get the races in that we got. Being a bit cramped towards the end of the season. And, I think it's certainly, we have to be honest for us guys here in this team. It's been a bit of a tough season. We haven't had as many wins as we typically might have had in a season. But, it's all just about finding your feet, adapting to change in these sort of conditions. And we've still got people that are working just as hard as ever, and we'll keep doing that.
Hey, Damien Howson's an interesting one because I was really surprised that he didn't get a start at the Tour de France, given he had such good form winning Tour of Hungary. How is he feeling coming into this race? And are those sort of setbacks really big motivational drives for them to perform?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like I was saying before, people's, the motivation for coming to the Vuelta is always very strong for anyone that's here. And it was really good to see Howson coming in here. He was with us last week at Tour of Burgos. He was riding really strongly there, and he's got good motivation. He's got a broad set of cycling skills. We'll be able to use him in stages to help bling there, but also he'll also be really handy for Lucas Hamilton later on in the Vuelta and the likes of Mikel Nieve when we need guys in breakaways.
Yeah, he's strong. I was just looking at the field, as you mentioned. It's got some superstars, of course. Roglic, again, looking for redemption. Every time he wins the Vuelta, he's won the last two, and it's always been a race of redemption each year for him. And here he is again, although his time trial win in the Olympics was just staggering. But I'm looking at the Ineos team, and again, I see they've got 3 potential winners, and they're going to go with that 3-pronged attack. It didn't go too well for them, the Tour de France.
No, and if obviously they won the Giro this year, but they're a highly funded, highly competitive team. They want to win every race they go to, so they'll be obviously they'll throw in everything they can at this year's Vuelta. And it'll be interesting to see, obviously Bernal is there, and some of these young guys that they've got like Pidcock. It'll be interesting to see how he handles this 3-week stage race. But I'm sure the likes of him coming straight off the Olympics is going to be riding pretty high, and he'll certainly be good during the first part of this Vuelta.
Do you find also this race, you're saying that, a lot of people come into it obviously motivated, but for the guys that are, in particular in other teams as well, that are out of contract, this can always be a race where, riders do get desperate, do take risks. it's a very different dynamic to the other Grand Tours that you have.
Yeah, I mean, for me, you know, the Vuelta is, you know, I think it has the least that can go wrong with it. I say that touching wood, but you know, the Tour de France, it's often so many spectators and so much tension, and you know, there's always a lot of misfortune that can happen, as we saw particularly this year in the Tour de France. The Vuelta, you know, generally quite big roads. Climbs are generally sort of much bigger, much less to go wrong. So I think in many ways it's more of a fair race, and we always see. I mean, every race we see the best guy win, but you know, it's not a race that's as often plagued by misfortune as some of the other Grand Tours.
If he,
That's what I love about the Vuelta, though, is because it is the end of the season and people are out for redemption or whatever. Every stage, but the last couple of years, it's been like that in all the Grand Tours, I must say. There's hardly been a stage where it hasn't been fire the gun and down. You know, it takes sometimes an hour for a break to get away, and they're full on. And do you expect the same here in the Vuelta? We've got stage 2 and stage 4 where the breaks will be trying to get away. You reckon it'll be the same sort of thing, really hard to get clear?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch. You know, I think the dynamics of racing, even in the last 18 months or 2 years, has really changed a lot. And it'll be interesting to see that if that's something, the way that racing is going to be moving forward. I probably suspect that it will be, you know, and it's going to be some interesting times coming up, because it means that if the racing continues like that, you know, the training systems and the methodology that we use around training will need to be altered a little bit to sort of suit this new style of racing that seems to be becoming the norm.
Now, can you tell us?
Sorry, mate. I was just continuing on with that, on that same vein. Do you reckon that is partly because of all these young kids who are coming into the sport now and being superstars almost straight away, or being generally good, and they haven't got that, I won't say it's respect, but they don't listen to any orders from anyone else. They'll do what they're going to do. There's no controlling the bunch like in the old days.
Yeah, I think that's definitely part of it. This generation in cycling, like in all aspects of life, probably a bit more less bound, I guess, by the historics of the sport or the traditions of the sport, and they're undoing a lot of what we. The way that we've done things, or the way we thought we should do things, you know, which is good, because that's how things evolve. It's how sport evolves. It's how anything business world evolves as well. So, yeah, I think. Actually, what was your question? I forgot.
You answered anyway. I was just talking about the youngsters of today. You know how they just no race.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. You know, like. The sport now, you know, the level of the sport is very, very high, and you know, we've got the top guys have always been the top guys, but I think what we're seeing now is if you've got a field of 200, those guys from sort of 200 up to 150 are much closer to the top echelon of riders than they've ever been, you know, so sport's highly competitive in that regard.
Hey, Jules, I want to ask you, what is your philosophy on how you deal with disappointment? Obviously, cycling, you're going to lose a lot more races than you win. How do you take momentum out of losses to keep pushing forward throughout a 3-week race?
I think a lot of that is what you mean by a loss. I mean, if the loss is not winning a bike race, then, you know, that's pretty much part and parcel of what we do. To me, a loss would be, you know, not committing to a plan, not putting the work in that we said we were going to do in a stage, or making some bad decisions out on the road. Those sorts of things don't really happen that often. You know, if you've got a good group of guys, a good team, you know, you commit every day, you stick to the plan, you make good decisions on the road, and you work hard. So, and those are the things that you need to reflect on most as you go through this 3 weeks. Did we do all that stuff right? The outcome is always obviously one thing, but you can't always judge your performance or whether you win or lose on the outcome. Much of it is around those other parameters also.
Do you still do the daily debrief after a stage where you go around and you ask the riders how it all went, or has it really changed, particularly over the last 5 years?
No, I mean that's still a really important part of our process on this team. We call it our safe space when we do our debriefs, and we in the bus there after the race, and it just gives us a chance to speak our minds, speak it openly, get it all out before we go back to the hotel room, before we go back to dinner, and make sure that the air's cleared and any misgivings between the boys are cleared straight away.
What happened to your arm, mate?
Exactly.
Plaster.
The plaster. What happened, bud?
You know me, mate.
You went tackling in coppers on the side of the road again, were you?
Jules, this is a safe place as well.
I'll tell you off here.
Intriguing.
What's it? Just on a total side note, I love going down rabbit holes on this show. What's the region like you're in at the moment? Any food special? What's the word I'm looking for? Specialities. Jeez, what is going on?
So we're in Burgos, which is north of Madrid, sort of halfway, I guess, between the Bilbao, the far north Atlantic coast there in Madrid, on sort of a high plain. So it's been really hot here during the day, up around the mid 30s, but cools off a lot at night. A lot of the comments from the boys have been that it's actually quite similar to South Australia, to Tour Down Under, here in terms of the environment and the conditions. Cuisine around here, really famous for their black pudding, actually. If you're
no thanks.
Oh, I love that.
No thanks.
I love that.
No. What about the orange season? I remember that day you were in Girona and you threw me an orange, and I was like, well, might as well break a 4-year drought, need a bit of fruit. And it was the best orange I've ever had. And you were like, mate, that's a juicing orange. That's the quality. That's not that flash. But how's the citrus been this year?
Well, it's not citrus season yet. It's end of summer, but we'll be heading down to the Valencia region where all the citrus fruits and that are from. So we're sort of up here in Burgos now, and by the time we get to stage 4 or 5, we'll sort of be heading further south down towards Valencia as we head all the way down towards right down the south of Spain this year in the Vuelta. So we really do a big lap of Spain this year. So there's a lot of transfers, a lot of long stages, and late nights. Tour of Spain's always notorious for its late nights. Not late nights in bars, late nights getting to hotels.
That's right. Now, one last one from me. We had a lot of people commenting on Thursday's show about the announcement that Esteban Chavez was leaving the team, going to EF. He was obviously a big part of the team's success in this race. Was it disappointing to see him go, or does it make sense, turning over a new, fresh chapter for himself?
Yeah, I think, Esteban has been a great asset to this team over the years. He's had some fantastic results, and he's been really enjoyable to work with on many levels in this team. He's certainly a charismatic person and great bike rider and great character. But all things come to an end. Nothing lasts forever, and I think he's happy to be moving on where he's going, and it also frees up some capacity for us to try and make some changes and move on and head in a new direction ourselves. So, I think no one's certainly bitter or feeling bad about any of the decisions that have been made, but it's just accepting it and moving on.
Iffy?
So just looking at the field, and we just mentioned about Ineos being very strong, and with 5, they've got Bernal, Carapaz, who is winning the Olympics, sensational. Adam Yates and Sivakov, plus young Tom Pidcock, who I'm also really looking forward to seeing how he goes. He's such a superstar. But and of course, Roglic, Jumbo Visma is a very strong team, just built around him. But some of the other teams like Movistar, this is their home race, and they always are trying to do something pretty special. And they've got Mas, I reckon it'll be, and Enric Mas will be their main, of course, Miguel Angel Lopez, and the old fella, Valverde. I mean, what is he, 41 going to 42? And you wouldn't be surprised to see him up there having a bash again. But also I was noticing how strong Bahrain are as well, because Landa, disappointing with crashing out of the Giro, so he's back in form. But also with Caruso, Poles, and Lucas Hamilton, so also very, very strong.
Yeah,
Lucas.
I think you mean Jack Hay, don't you?
Lucas Hamilton.
Sorry, Jack Hay. Sorry, I always mix those two up.
This is not one of our finest shows tonight. I've just got to put my hand up. We're all a bit fried. It's day one.
Yeah, no, Bahrain and Landa especially are big favourites. Obviously, Neil's in the driving seat there for their team, and he's always been good at drawing success out of the teams that he's been part of in the Tour of Spain. And really interested to see how Jack goes. Obviously, he had that disappointment at the Tour de France, but I think he's going to be someone to watch here as well.
Well, you always know with the Sheriff, he has a fully stacked team for the Tour of Spain. I mean, that would have been that would have been on the cards. He would have been licking his lips when Landa crashed out the Giro's. Like, righto, mate, let's start thinking about it. It's all about the Tour of Spain, mate. Biggest bike race in the world. Don't worry about that Tour de France stuff. He would have loved it. So just on Lucas, Wendy Superfan wanted to know, is Lucas going to be a protected rider as well as Bling? Are you going to be going for the GC? And if it doesn't pan out at some point, will you be sort of in a position where you go, right, we're going to pull the ripcord here and just go for stages?
No, I mean, the main focus for us with Lucas is, he's had a bit of a difficult period. He didn't finish the Giro last year when we had to leave because of COVID. Crashed out of the Tour this year. So really important for him to be in here coming into this race and just making good progression over that 3 weeks. We sort of suspect that where he's coming from, he'd potentially be a little bit underdone coming in. But that's all right. We're aware of that. We're just trying to manage that through the first week or 10 days. And knowing that when we get to the back end of this race, it's very, very difficult. The last week is going to be tough. There's going to be a lot to gain the last week, as equally as there's going to be a lot to be lost as well. So if he comes good during that last week and we can try and get him up there, that'll be a bonus.
Good stuff, mate. Well, it's been a bloody pleasure having you on the detour, Jules. We'll be picking your brain.
Yeah, good to talk to you guys.
Each day if we can, and we'll see how we go, mate. But good luck today, and final predictions for the stage, mate.
For time trial today?
Yeah.
I'd probably, Primoz would be hard to go past him at this stage.
Yep. Yeah. You reckon Bling will be able to run a top 5?
Yeah, I mean, if we can get Bling within striking distance, that sort of around that 10 to 15 seconds, that'll be a good ride from Michael, and possibly give him a chance at taking the jersey tomorrow, and what we're expecting to be a bit of a crosswind epic day tomorrow. So certainly look out for that one. It should be pretty nail-biting stuff on the edge of your seat sort of stuff, the winds around here tomorrow.
Last one from the fans. Tom Maloney says, well, it's always been good to win. Fantastic to win. I'm a Swannies supporter, and I seldom feel they haven't played their hearts out. I was as satisfied that BikeExchange rode their hearts out in the Tour de France. Jules Jedson rode his heart out in breaks and support. Bling gave it everything, often having us egging him on. #Couch Peloton. There's obviously going to be plenty of support as well over the next 3 weeks, mate. So wish you all the best.
Yep. All right, guys. Thanks. Good to talk to you. Catch you soon.
Good on you.
All right,
Cheers, mate.
All right, Jules. I can't wait to find out what happened to that to the arm, but we'll save that for another time.
Oh, he's gone. Perfect timing.
Oh, there's a story there, Dan. There is a story.
That's right.
Well,
Hey,
I love the story.
Ian Thomas, he says, would love to hear your comments on the current situation of Bike Exchange. Things seem to be on the slide. Is it make or break time? I think it was good insight there from Jules. If you're talking about riders leaving the team and so forth, this is obviously a natural part of cycling. But I think one of the key things is they're transitioning into a different team. They're not the same team and same environment. Particularly, back when I was there in the early days when, we were doing music videos and we had the big Aussie list or whatever. It's evolved into something it's taken on its own persona now. So I think that's the biggest thing. What I've noticed from afar is it's not like everyone wants to hang on to the way it was back in the old days. It's just evolved into something different. Is that how you look at John?
Hawthorne.
Well, hopefully they go. Oh, actually,
BikeExchange. No, Bike. Yeah, they did. BikeExchange.
They did. Way back.
It's a rebuild. It is a rebuild time, and I really look forward to seeing how it all lines up for next year. I think I know that there's some very interesting people, and there could be some big changes. But there's no doubt it is time for a rebuild.
Yep. All right. Well, it's that time of the show where we have a quick word from our great mates, Bike Exchange, and a quick word with the voice of cycling, Phil Liggett, for the Amy Gillett Foundation.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. BikeExchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Life is like a two-way street. It's about consideration and mutual respect. Roads are much the same. However you get around, walk, ride or drive, if we share our roads, we can all be safer. The Amy Gillett Foundation is Australia's peak cycling safety charity. Our mission is for safe cycling in Australia. Our vision is for 0 cyclist deaths. Over the last year, we've seen an enormous increase in people taking up cycling, whether it be for recreation, with the family, commuting, or even to start your own cycling career. We need to do more to make it safer for every cyclist. 20 cyclists every day are hospitalised, and 1 cyclist is killed every 10 days on Australian roads. So, the next time you jump on your bike or hop in your car, remember to practice the 4 C's. Be courteous, calm, considerate and conscientious. Every cyclist death is preventable, and we all deserve to get home safely. Please donate to help the Amy Gillett Foundation make the roads safer for you and for me.
Thanks again to our great mates at Bike Exchange, and some great messaging there with the 4 C's from the Amy Gillett Foundation. And obviously we had Katie Brown on the other night, Iffy, and I think she's finally recovered from your questions.
She loves it. She loves it. She's a great young lady. I remember her when she used to ride the Bay Crits. She was a very classy bike rider, of course. And now she's doing a wonderful job. And she's it's fantastic that the Amy Gillett Foundation have come on board with us, and we're going to be giving away some wonderful rides for the beautiful Gran Fondo, which comes up in November down at Lawn. So we'll have some giveaways there. But yeah, it's a wonderful partnership, and I'm looking forward to that. And Bike Exchange have been a wonderful partner with us. And if anyone is looking for a bike frame at the moment, jump onto bikeexchange.com.au, because they've got some Scott frames, leftover Scott frames from the team, brand new. Some of them only like a year old, some of them 5 or 6 years old, but all brand new, going for as little as $499. I'm telling you, you cannot beat that. So jump on the Bike Exchange website and snaffle one before they're all gone. They sold about 80 over the weekend.
Did they?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's great.
Yeah,
Katie sent me a link to this really soft bike seat. It looks like it's taking the piss. Like, it is like that thick. But I think that's going to be my only option, because if I haven't been on the pedals for 6 years, I'm just going to cop a hammering. So I'm going to have to start.
Everyone tries to find that magic bike seat. There ain't one. What it is, the muscles in your around that region is just like the muscles anywhere else. You just got to do a bit of work, and then gradually they toughen up, because it's all in the shape of the seat. And people who go for these big, thick seats and padded, you end up like trying to ride a horse. The legs are too far out, and you can't ride the bike. So in the end, you just got to do a little bit of work, but you won't have to do much. I'll get you an e-bike, mate. E-bike, and you'll spit me out the back.
I think that's what we're going to do. I think I'm just have to call it e-bike, and just hang on. I'll be fine.
I got to tell you,
I might set some Strava records.
Scotty McGrory. I'll send you well, you've got
I've got the link, the video.
They went out the other night, and a group of them out the back of Bendigo, and there was 20 odd of them at night with lights on mountain bikes. Most of them were on e-mountain bikes, a handful on ordinary ones, and they were really fit racing guys. But it looked fantastic. They had a ball, and I've sent that to a few of my mates. They're all keen to do it now. There's some wonderful tracks around Geelong that you could do that. So we'll tee that up, and we'll show that to our group. In the next couple of days, because it's fantastic vision. But we'll get you going for November.
Jacques C wants to ask, what do you think of Jack Haig's chances, especially he was looking good in the Tour before crashing? He was. How do you think Jack's going to go?
Look, Jack's capable of getting on the podium, but will he get the opportunity to do that? Because his team is so strong. As I said, Mikel Landa, Caruso, Wout Poels. I even had Lucas Hamilton sneaking in there, but actually he's in Bike Exchange. I don't know. I always mix those two up. But Jack Haig, look, I haven't seen just what he's done the last couple of weeks, but he will be in good form for sure, and he is capable of getting on the podium. But Landa, he's a Spaniard. And this might be one of his best chances to win the Vuelta.
Well, it's have you seen that movie star special on Netflix?
No.
It's really interesting. Like, when Landa was behind the scenes and Carapaz took the limelight, they're racers. They want to win, but he clearly struggled going from being sort of, you're going to be the top dog, to having to play second fiddle. I mean, if he's got the form and he's focused, no one's going to be able to stand in the way. But it's going to be hard if there are any setbacks, or if you go in with a bit of a dual leader strategy or whatever. Wait and see. Be interesting.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting team, because they've been around for, I think, they're just about the oldest team in the peloton. Been around forever under different names. But when Carapaz won the Giro, which was for Movistar, he, at one stage, they were telling him to wait for it might have been Landa, I can't remember, and he just ignored them. did a Cadell, pull the earphone out of the ear, and just kept going and won it. They weren't happy because he was already leaving. He'd already signed up.
That's right.
to go to Sky as it was then. So interesting.
Sharks fires in another one. He says, "What are Pidcock's chances of doing a Van Aert Tour-like wins? Do you think Ineos are going to let him loose or play support for Bernal?"
Look, I would love for them to let him loose, and he'll get his opportunities because he's just.
I think why not? They don't need this notion of, particularly in the mountains, that you don't need bloody 100 blokes around. Just let him go. Let him go.
Well, the problem is at the moment they're top heavy. It's a wonderful team. With Bernal, with Carapaz, Adam Yates, Sivakov. In the end, someone's going to have to do a lot of work, and I reckon it'll probably be young Tommy Pidcock. But I tell you, he is. We all talk about these Van Aert and Van der Poel as so complete, but this kid is even younger. 21, and he is just as complete. He's rides in the early season classics were just staggering, jumping from cyclocross to that to mountain bikes, and then to get into the Olympics after his injury, and then just to ride away from everyone the way he did, it was just staggering. Tough course too for the mountain bikes.
Is this the biggest issue for guys like Bling? Obviously, the evolution of this young batch of talent. There's so many of these absolute hitters, and their form and so forth is just at such a high level. It makes it so much more difficult when you're so used to having success over a number of years. Just the timing, particularly. Like, we've obviously come out of the era with, the Boonans, the Cancellara's, all these sort of guys. Now you got this young batch. It's just, and what's to say there's not going to be another batch next year,
It was interesting. Michael was saying yesterday that the course isn't actually suited to him this year, because he likes them when they're a bit tough at the end, a bit too tough for the other sprinters, and he can do his stuff. But this time they're either sprint stages or they're just even too hard for him at the end. They're really got that extra K climb and more for a climber. So it's not perfectly suited for him, but he feels his form is good, and he'll give it a crack, which he always does. I mean, he gave it a crack in the Tour de France right up to that last day.
Will, was it Pidcock has said he really celebrated his Olympic mountain bike gold? Inside info. It's been on the cans.
Yeah,
I
don't think so. He might have celebrated. For him, it would have been like one evening for you and I, mate.
Full cream milk for one night instead of
all of that.
Yeah. Dale comes up with a funny one. He says, clearly no one on Detour podcast vaccinated and 5G compatible, obviously with the Wi-Fi issues. Rob Charlton, morning, lads. Looking forward to the Vuelta shows. Got Bling at 25-1 for today. Boom. Max Scandry reminds of Cosmo Kramer in the movie star doc.
I'll have to look at it.
You got to watch it.
Yeah, I'll make sure I'll watch it the next couple of days.
All right. Now, we better wrap things up before there's any more Wi-Fi issues. It's been one of those nights. Apologies for all those connection issues and gremlins at the start of the show. But as we always say, youtube.com/the Detour podcast. We are going to be live every night at 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. You can watch us on Facebook, Twitter. Tell all your mates, get behind it. And we'll be announcing details for the Amy Gillett Grand Fondo. We'll be giving away prizes. And if you want to get involved with that, amygillett.org.au. And we'll also announce the details for the Amila Resorts Maldives. They've offered up a fantastic prize, which is going to do a silent auction. And that's worth $10,000 for 5 nights accommodation at their resort. And we're going to be announcing details for that over the following days. So stay tuned for that. Jason, to the team, really appreciate it, because that's all going to the Careca Foundation. So keep those donations coming along. And as Phil said the other night, it sounds like, the last week they've had a string of money coming in with COVID. That's obviously been really tough for them. And just on COVID, want to send a cheerio to everyone, particularly in New South Wales. We're thinking of you guys. Obviously, we're from Victoria. We've done the big lockdown last year. It is tough, but make sure that you guys when you are struggling, particularly with the lockdown, it keeps going over and over and over. Keep talking to people, keep reaching out. Don't bottle stuff up. Like, ring your mates, connect with your family. If you get a chance to get out and get a bit of fresh air, go for a walk, mask up, do all the right things. But it will pass eventually. But yeah, we're thinking of you guys, and hang in there, our New South Wales mates, and stay tuned to the detour and the Vuelta, and hopefully, we give you some stuff to laugh at when the Wi-Fi is working.
Well, you Melbourne, a lot of lockdown as well, and it's one of the shames of this COVID situation has been the splitting of the states. How the border gets closed, and it's just, I never realised how little power our federal government has. In Australia, we've got 6 states plus Canberra and Northern Territory, and each is their own little fiefdom, but they've got all the power.
Fiefdom?
Fiefdom. Yeah, fiefdom. Little fiefdom. Like a little fiefdom is a kingdom. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Oh.
But they have all the power. The government, the Australian government, has power over the monies that they dish out to the states, but they can't tell the states what to do, and that's been coming out. Politicians are always thinking about short 3-year cycles, and now we almost have with state going against state. And look, we're Aussies. We've got to be careful with that. So I'm glad you said that, because that's spot on. I feel for them in Queensland as well. Nowhere near as bad. They're just about to get out of their lockdown, I think. But this is going to be an issue. I don't want to get political, but get vaccinated and we get up to 70 or 80% vaccinations, then we'll be opening our doors, because closing the borders hasn't worked. So it's going to keep popping up.
Yeah. And as I said, the most important thing is the biggest danger is isolation. You've got to keep talking, keep ringing people, get stuff off your chest, rinse it, and get yourself into a good routine within the restrictions. And if you're allowed 1 hour of exercise, go for a walk. Just go out and get some fresh air, clear your head, and it will pass eventually. So hang in there. We're thinking of you guys, and thanks for tuning in for the detour. Let all your mates know, and we'll be live, as we said, every night, 6:30 p.m. And we'll see you again tomorrow. And fingers crossed the Wi-Fi works. So we're going to have Phil Liggett on tomorrow, Iffy.
Yep.
Phil's back. Voice of Cycling. That's something to look forward to, and we'll recap all the action from the opening time trial. See you then. Take it easy.